welcome to our second and final game to be reviewed for the session. Next up, Hero. So this is one that's been floating in the queue for a while, as we did an interview about this game in January.
Oh man, that's a lot of months ago.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this was in early access for a measure of time. I think it was
that explains it.
Yeah. In fact, the formal release of this game was back in August.
That's only like a couple months.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Prioritization is the thing. You know, when it comes to early access, sometimes we lose track of the things, especially if we're not, obligated to review it then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is something we kind of lost track of, and found a spot for here, a month and some change later. Anyway, so in case you missed the interview, next up, Hero is a isometric action game. Yes, combined with a dungeon crawler. Not a roguelite. Like, it's not ultra difficult. It's, permadeath, not really. Like, in fact, your progress is actually saved in a couple of ways, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But getting back to the basic structure, your goal is to go through these things called ventures, which are the dungeons. And I'll be honest, I kind of lost track of why. Like, there is a story here, but hang on, we're getting some wind interference apparently.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Well, I mean, it wasn't there before.
Yeah, it all of a sudden sounded like somebody was going through a wind tunnel. I think it stopped now. Yeah, now it stopped.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Anyway,
so getting back to what I was saying here, you go through these things called ventures, trying to complete them. They can be anywhere from 10 levels long to 80. Right. Yeah, it's like I didn't play many of the 80 level ones, but so the big draw here is the levels are very community created. Like, you can craft your own when you reach a certain level. Yeah, much like the other game we reviewed this week. This game has an overall level, a meta level gaining system, which the more you level up, the more you unlock. Mm-hmm. And among those are the tool sets needed to make a venture. That's actually, like, I think level 6. It's something like that. And anyway, as far as the dungeons themselves, each floor is conditional. Your most common one is kill enough enemies to open the gate, but other things are bounty hunts, where
kill a specific thing.
Yeah, and the more you killed in order to track down the beast, the more powerful it gets. RPG mode, where your stats are, you gain levels and you get more powerful. The worst, the sky is falling. Fuck whoever made this. I'm like, yeah, random rocks drop on you, everyone fucking dies. No, I was not a fan of this. Dark hero mode, where you face dark avatars of your hero types, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, and there are different difficulties of venture. And the higher difficulty you go, the more enemy types you encounter, the more difficult, more difficult level types, and so on and so forth. Like, it's like I didn't personally experience this, but like there's a level where it's a one-hit kill.
Yeah, that's never fun.
Yeah. And as far as your actual heroes, you get a variety of them. And once again, you do various meta unlocks here. Like you can unlock various skins. I upgrade them for, you get the currency which they call prestige. You can unlock more power. Maybe not more powerful attacks. A third attack. And your heroes come in two varieties overall. Like each hero has their individual powers, and if we went over all of them, we'd be here all day. But you can divide them pretty neatly into melee fighters. They're going to have short range, but they're also going to have a lot more hit points for obvious reasons. I never played at them because, honestly, I found the melee combat to be pretty bad. Like, I always stuck with range fighters. People who had guns and boomerangs and and RC cars that exploded. Yes, that is the thing that really happens. Like, anything that I could use at a distance. You have less hit points, but that's the trade-off. And in addition to basic attacks, you have the special attack, which more powerful or will do different things. Like with the boomerang wielder, she will actually turn into a boomerang, which could be helpful to travel. Also, when you're the boomerang, you are invincible. You don't do as much damage, but that invincibility can come in handy at times.
Almost like when rocks are falling on your head or something.
Sometimes, but those rocks were so goddamn random. Like, yeah, those were bad. I'm like,
yeah, gonna be honest, not a fan. I'm dealing with that right now.
Yeah. I'm like, it keeps you on your toes, but it's not real. It's a random challenge. Or rather, it's a, no matter how skilled you are, you might get picked off by an errant. Oh, it just dropped on you. It's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and your third move is your prestige move. That's the thing you unlock. Like, once again, going back to the boomerang wielder, she'll throw a teleport boomerang. Anyway, yeah, there is a meta narrative that is also unlocked as you gain levels. Not going to lie, I really wasn't following along with it. I never really understood what was going on, and because the characters that are actually talking are like kind of the master figures. They're the ones who are actually sending out the heroes into these ventures. Like, they're the ones who shout out, the name of the hero and like work those angles. One that came up. Mm-hmm. I never felt a real connection to them. Because they were just two talking heads, and that was it.
Well, it's like they only come up when you level up.
Yeah.
And kind of spoiler warning, the further you get, the harder it is to level up.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, point of order is the meta narrative felt there. Unfortunate, but there's no other way I can describe it. Now, as far as the controls go, they're fine, and thankfully there's no jumping. Isometric jumping. But because of the isometric perspective, combat is a bit wonky. Now, keep that in mind. especially if you're you can aim for greater precision with the second analog controller, but you will go slower. That's another reason why I didn't like the Rocks Falls Everyone Dies levels, because you're trying to aim. Oh, hi, flaming hot death. Yes, this clearly happened.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, graphical style. It's clean. It it's you know it's fairly colorful, um, fairly cartoony. Not much more to say about that, honestly. It's solid. You know, the music, likewise. Some of it, like I still have that. I still have like the opening track in my head. That's been fun. Ear, it's earwormy, and thankfully there's more than one track.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not a surprise, you can get the sound. Provided you get the Steam version, you can get the soundtrack alongside this game. Like, so overall, this is a pretty good package on paper, especially since given the gameplay style, it's pretty simple, yet elegant. And in terms of content and all that, there's a lot of it. It'll keep you busy for a while, but ultimately, I was left kind of flat with this game. I think that's because the combat itself really doesn't evolve, beyond what you play in the first 15 minutes, for the most part. It's like it'll evolve once you get to greater enemies, but it's going to be a while before you get to those. I don't know. It's like maybe this is a subjective thing, but I found myself only playing it about a half an hour sort of deal. Even though it's set up to like you're spending like 4 hours and you're spending all this time on this game. I'm like, honestly, I didn't really think it had the chops to warrant such long play sessions. Your thoughts, Petty Fan?
It's all right. Like, again, this isn't something I want to put a bunch of time into.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I honestly didn't have. I'm kind of the opposite of you. I didn't have a problem with the melee characters, but I guess to each their own.
Well, I mean, that is a point in this game's favor. You've got a lot of variety, and you don't have to work too much to unlock it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Like you can get the coinage to unlock a new hero in like 1-2 runs.
Yeah.
So if you don't like what they have available, it's not too long till you can get somebody else.
Yeah. You will probably find a character that you will want to main, like, and maybe you don't like the gun style. So you have options. You have options here. That's good. And these are options that are really different from each other too. It's not just all the gun types operate the same, just with different skins. No, there are profound differences between each hero. I do want to stress that here, because while we've divided them into types, the specific powers have specific things attached to them. Anyway, continue on.
And it's like, yeah, like this isn't something if I was bored, I'd want to pick up and play, like all the time. But it's like, it's not terrible. It's just not my type of game.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, it is pretty adapted to consoles and the PC.
Mm-hmm.
Worth noting, you can get this on pretty much anything. Uh, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Steam. It's like if it's a living platform, you can get it. That isn't like the 3DS or something.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, pricing. I don't have the page up here like I thought I. Hang on a sec.
Live research.
Well, it's more I had it, but I think I used it for something else. Like, yeah, here we go. Next Up Hero is retailing for $20. Like, once again, it's a bit of a hard one, which version to recommend, but I'd say either the PC or the Switch version, because once again, this is a good game to have around, but the Steam version is the only one that has the $7 soundtrack download option.
Well, one thing about the Steam or the Switch version, how well does it work in single player? Like, because this leverages online fairly heavily with like the ghosts littered about and easily being able to tag team with somebody. So, if you're someone who's if you're someone who's out a lot, that functionality will be lost to you unless you have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Oh, that is a good point that you bring up. This is a very online focused game. You're going to need a stable internet connection.
Mm-hmm.
I can't answer any questions about the Switch because we didn't have anyone get that version. Like when we got the game, it was in early access, so there were no platform options.
And I think when we were interviewing them, they were on the fence on whether they were going to go to Switch, so we couldn't ask them there. If I recall, it's been a while since we had them on.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, even if we wanted to, like there wasn't a Switch version to get. It was just the early access for Steam. Like the only console that does early access is the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and this is one of those. If we hear back from them after we submit the review, I'll try and put it in the description of the highlight. But I guarantee nothing.
Anyway, so getting back to what I was saying, the purchasing option, I obviously, it's got a bundle. It's running $22.93, 15% off. So yeah, it's only a few bucks more than if you were just buying the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the game at $20, yeah, I think it ultimately justifies the purchase. Maybe not so much in its core gameplay, but if anything else in its content, yeah, there's a lot here. It's got a ton of user-generated content, and if you're into this, it'll keep you occupied for a good long while.
Like the only thing I kind of wish they made easier is like connecting with a friend.
Yeah, co-op was very spotty.
Yeah,
which is kind of why we didn't do it.
Yeah, because you basically have to go into the same venture as somebody else, and you may or may not be joined up with them. So that is something to look into if you want to play this with a friend.
Yeah. So ultimately, solid game, but nothing I'd go out of my way to grab. Kind of a theme this week, but for different reasons. Or maybe the same reason if I'm thinking about it. Oh well. Anyway, so that'll about do it for this installment of the Fragments of Silicon Reviews. So the week ahead, no Tuesday interview this week, but on October 3rd, we will be having Aaron Arkand of the Undergroundies Incorporated. I'm not sure if that's an actual incorporated entity or if it's an LLC. I'm sure that will come up in the discussions. But we will be talking about a game called Ugai Saba.
Correct pronunciation coming Wednesday.
Yeah, it's weird. It's not even like Japanese or anything that I can tell. I mean, it could be Japanese, but
yeah. See, these are the questions we can ask the developer when we have them on the show. Yeah. But yeah, this is a creature care simulator. God, I want to use the example of Creatures, but I don't know how many people are familiar with Creatures in the year of 2018. Maybe it's a thing that THQ Nordic can bring back.
I was about to say, please don't make me look for footage on that.
Like, well, anyway, don't really know too much about the game because we just got the codes literally before we started up the stream.
Mhm.
It's like, so we have a couple of days to wrap the head around what this is in greater detail. It looks pretty interesting from the screenshots and the trailers. It just, from everything, it's like there seems to be a lot to this game.
I was about to say, it's like we had a lot of games that looked interesting from the screenshots and trailers and hated them. Then again, we've also had some of them we really liked from that, so
This is true.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that'll about do it for today. Be sure to join us on Wednesday. And until then, I wish you good gaming.